Oops, I'm on the wrong slide. Thank you for being here. Lee, Mark, Keith, that's awesome. Great to have you. We've got 11 people registered for today's webinar. We're going to be getting started in about 2 minutes, probably a little bit less than that. If you guys can hear me, please just type a little chat in the little chat pod, a little message in the chat pod, just so that I know you're here and you're with me. And we'll get started very shortly. Mark, I see that you've joined twice. I've got Mark Atfield and Mark Atfield 1 here. So hopefully one of you can hear me. Grab a glass of water, get your coffee refilled, and yeah, close your browser and stop playing games on your phone. And we're gonna get started pretty quickly here. 1 minute. Awesome, Key. Thanks for the message. Good to know you're here. If nobody else is here, at least we got one-on-one going on. Lee and Mark, if you guys can hear me, please type a little chat in the chat window and we'll get started pretty quickly here. As soon as the clock strikes 11. And if at any point you guys are having trouble hearing me or whatever, yeah, the chat, just use the chat and let me know, and I'll maybe move my mic closer or whatever, but okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, it's 11 a.m. It's Friday, and I'm not going to waste your time. So let's just go ahead and get started. And anybody else who's planning on attending can just kind of trickle in. So this is a webinar we've been doing for a few months now, and it's been going great. Basically, the objective is to show you how to get the most out of your website. We're going to do some things like talking about on-site optimization tactics, which means things that you can do on your actual website to make your website more awesome. Then we're going to talk about off-site optimization, which is things you can do off of your website to send your website traffic. Then we'll cover the dojo and the ebook a little bit on how you can continue your education with other services that we provide. And then we'll get into a modern marketing Q&A. You can ask questions, save your questions for the end or just ask them as you go as well. That's totally fine. Before we get into all those on-site and off-site tactics, we're going to do a little intro and talk about a couple of rules we've learned over the years of making websites. So yeah, this slide basically just covers that again and tells you that you can type your questions into the chat as you think of them. If I can answer it on the spot without stopping for too long, I will. Otherwise, I'll let you know that we're just going to hang on to your question until the very end, and when we get to the Q&A, we'll take care of it. At the end of this webinar as well, you will get the screen once I end the event will turn into a link to a bunch of other awesome links, and as well as a copy of the slides that are presented here today. So in case you guys don't want to take notes or you're not in the mood to write anything down, you don't have to, because I'm going to send you all these slides right after. Okay, so with that said, let's jump right in. Give yourself a pat on the back and a high five. If you've got a RealtyNinja website, you're already 10 steps ahead of the pack. Believe it or not, 2018 and still half of realtors out there don't even have their own website. So and the ones that do are, they're not the nicest, or they're kind of outdated, and generally they suck from a design or usability standpoint. So if you do have a website and you do have a RealtyNinja site, you're already ahead of the average agent. But this webinar is not about being average. It's about being ninja. So let's get into it. One thing that to preface before we talk about everything else is that we living in a very interesting time right now. We live in what I call an attention economy. Everybody out there, from Netflix to YouTube to Facebook to Twitter and whatnot, they're all always trying to implement better algorithms and whatnot, just so that they can get your attention and keep it for longer. So everybody out there is just trying to get your attention, get your eyes on their platform or on their content or whatever. Everybody, even people's dogs have Instagram accounts and stuff like that now. So there's just so much content out there. So much more than, when I started in this industry, in the marketing industry, like 8 or 9 years ago. Back then, when social media was just getting started, it was not really adopted, and it was a lot easier to stand out. These days, you really have to think about how to tailor your message and how to cater, to your specific niche in order to stand out for them. Otherwise, they're getting pounded with so much content, so much information, they're never going to find you. So it's a really important thing to keep in mind. It's an attention economy we live in. People are getting pounded with 10,000 times more content than they did just 9 or 10 years ago. So with that said, what does it take to make your website truly ninja? We've worked even before RealtyNinja was a company. We used to work with custom website development and for real estate agents. And the most successful agents, I mean, they always follow these two simple rules. It's still true today, regardless of how much technology has changed. These rules are A, don't be generic, and B, create real value for your target audience. And so I like to tell people when I'm talking to them one on one that people don't really care about you, they care about what you can do for them in terms of business. So, if you're trying to cater your services to the general public of, let's say, Vancouver. I live in Vancouver, so I'm going to use Vancouver as an example. But let's say you're being the generic realtor, for all of Vancouver, or the expert for all of Vancouver. It's going to be really difficult to create value for your target audience and have them find it because you're being generic and you're not really addressing a specific niche. So these are two big rules to follow, and then getting into a couple of big opportunities. Um, we have so much access to people, to ideal clients online for relatively low price. I mean, it takes time, a little bit of time and effort, but it's pretty much free to access all these people via social media, and all these great online mediums like networking websites like Alignable and stuff like that. And so you can, as a new agent starting off, they can kind of compete with seasoned agents right away, agents and teams that have big, deep pockets. I've seen new agents join and have an awesome Instagram following and their business starts booming right away, right off the bat, just because they've taken advantage of this ability to connect with hundreds or thousands of, their ideal clients online. And so keep this in mind. I mean, the day and age we live in, it's easy to say, no, I'm not going to do these things. I already have a client base, but it's also really easy to kind of get involved in the communication or in the conversation on social media and become one of these digital mayors. And as a realtor, you really are a public figure in a lot of ways, and people get to know your face and your brand in the community. And you can also kind of take over that digital community as well. It's really difficult though if you're being generic, and if you're not providing value. So those two simple rules really come into play in every step of this webinar and every step of your marketing journey with your website. So before we get into some of the actual on-site optimization tactics, these are two really important questions to ask yourself, whether it's before you've started your website, if you've had a website for 10 years and you're rebranding, if you're moving website companies, or if you're just going, you know what, I need to sit down and really think about what the purpose of this website is and what it's going to do for me. These are the two questions you need to ask yourself before that process begins. Question one is, who am I building this website for? Question two is what I want these people to do when they get to my website. So question one, it really comes down to figuring out who your niche is, figuring out who your ideal customer is. Not to say you're not going to take a customer outside of your ideal, but when you're talking about marketing through your website, you really want to speak to a specific group of people, whether it's first-time home buyers, people who are interested in pre-sale purchases, new families buying their second property together, they just had a baby. Whatever it is, you really want to focus on catering your website to those people's needs, whether it's through the blog, the resources, the types of niche listing searches, listing pages that you create, and all these other kinds of things that you do on your website, testimonials, coming from certain kinds of people. So it's really important to ask yourself, who is this website for? And then once you've kind of figured that out and gone, okay, now I know who I'm building the website for, you want to ask yourself, what do I want them to do on my website? So when they get there, what is the end objective? What is the goal? Obviously, you want them to get into business with you and become a client. But when it comes to real estate, it's not like buying shoes online where you're just like, oh, I like these shoes, I'm going to put my credit card in. It's a little bit more of massaging them. And so in a lot of cases, you just, when they get to your website, all you want them to do is get to know you. You want them to watch a couple videos, or maybe what you want them to do is to subscribe for your mailing list. Or maybe what you want them to do is take a look at all of your really cool, neighborhood niche search pages or your community resource pages, or whatever that goal is. You need to guide people to it. And so once you kind of answered these questions, and you know who the site's for and you know what you want them to do, then you can start designing your website for success, and to actually produce results for you. Because I hear so much like my website's not producing any leads. It's not producing any leads. And it's like, okay, well, then you go look at the website and it's a completely generic, right out of the box website. It hasn't been customized at all to fit the niche. It hasn't created a path for people to follow to get to, from point A to point B, and then finally take an action. It's just kind of like the default website. That's not going to do as much for you as if you actually put some thought into it. So really big, really important section here, these two questions. Never too late to ask yourself, whether you've been an agent for 20 years and you're asking now, or you're starting tomorrow, you don't even have your license yet and you're asking now, it's always a great time. A couple things to leave you with, these are a few great bullets about what a really ninja real estate website should do. I'm not going to bore you by reading every single one of them, but I'm going to highlight a couple of my favorites. One of them is create trust with your audience, break through the digital barrier. I think this is super important, creating trust, building kind of like a relationship with people online before you even ever meet them offline. Your website, great hub to do this, and it can be a great place to host videos about you, testimonials, photos, awards and accolades you may have had, peer reviews from partners that you work with, all kinds of great stuff can be put into your website to build trust and break that digital barrier, especially these days with streaming video. Uploading a video to YouTube takes no time, and then embedding it in your site is super easy. So the ability for people to look at your face on your website, listen to your voice, and kind of connect with you in that way through a video is super, super powerful in building trust. And so, don't overlook that part of your website. Very important. The other one that I really like is that your website represents you 24/7. It's often the first impression people have of you. This is something a lot of people don't think about. Someone might have found your website at 3 a.m. while you're sleeping, and they might be, they work at the hospital, they work nights, or they work days and they're up nights, or whatever it is. People have different schedules, and so when you're not working, your website is basically it's a representative. It's like an employee of your company. And so when you look at that employee in that way, when you look at your website as an employee, is it really working hard for you? Is it really representing your company, with integrity in the way that you represent your company in person? Thinking about your website as this 24/7, brand piece that connects with people, not just locally, but even around the world. When people are considering moving to Canada and looking you up, and they're in a different time zone and they're checking you out, they want to see a website of someone that they can trust, that they can feel, is credible enough to take on this project. So when you look at your website, look at it through this lens next time, and ask yourself, if this was an employee, who is representing me while I'm sleeping, to all the people who were up in the wee hours of the night, is it doing a great job? I love that. I love the 24/7 aspect. It's just a cool way to think about it. And then the big last bullet is provide value to your target audience and not just you. We talked about that in that other slide here as well. Create real value for your target audience. It's the biggest thing. People don't care about you. They want to know what you can do for them, what you have for them. Again, we're in an attention economy. If your website's not giving them something that they want or that they need or that is helpful to them in some way, then they're just going to leave because there's another website out there that does have that. It's 2018. It's not hard to come across a bunch of great resources for realtors on the first page of Google. So what makes you different? How are you providing value? Very important. Before we get into the on-site, the last thing I'll leave you with, the on-site optimization tactics. The last thing I'll leave you with is this analogy. Basically, we've used this for 7 years. It's such a great analogy. Your RealtyNinja website, or any awesome website, is like a sleek sports car, Ferrari or Lamborghini or whatever. It's got the paddle shifting and the torque and the horsepower and the bucket seats and the racing wheels and all the great stuff that it takes to be a high performance vehicle. But without a driver sitting in that driving seat and driving the car past the finish line, it's not going to win any races. And so your website is the same. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got all the lead capture forms and the listing automation and the ability to create niche pages and embed videos and all kinds of everything that you really need to do is available to you. But you need to do it. You need to drive that car. And if it's not you, it can be someone on your team. If it's not someone on your team, it can be a third-party marketing company that you've hired to kind of help you out. Point is, this is a tool. Your website is a tool, and if you don't use it, it's not actually going to help you in any way. And so with that said, let's talk about ways that you can use your website. how to optimize your website with on-site optimization, so things that you can do to your actual Realty Ninja website to make it more awesome, and make it convert more leads when people get there to arrive to it. So first thing that I always talk about, excuse me, just need a sip of water, is the blogging content and resources. Super huge. Inbound marketing is so big these days. I mean, or people finding your results organically is always so much more powerful than people finding your results on search engines that are advertising. So the first few, results at the top of a search engine, they're like ads. They're, people have paid to put them there. But then after that, it's all organic, and it's who's getting the most hits, and whose site is the most popular, and whose content is using the most relevant keywords, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can, by blogging regularly and by producing resources and updating your site regularly, you can start becoming, one of these top results on Google after the ad section. So this is very powerful. Um, this is the biggest way to provide value to your customers these days is by using your blog. It's really easy to get in there, post something, publish it, and it's done. And you post it on social media, and it's a gateway into your website. And so it's this, resourceful, valuable piece of content, whether you're posting it on social media or people are finding it organically by searching for that content. Let's say, for instance, you do a piece like the 10 best picnic spots in Vancouver, and it's a blog post on your site. Well, people are going to be Googling best picnic spots in Vancouver over the next course of the next 5-10 years, and yours is going to become more popular and it's going to show up more and more. Also, when you post that on social media, people are going to get interested and click through to it. When they click through, they are landing on your website. And so that blog post, at the bottom of it, it can have a call to action to go to another page. It can link to other pages through your website. It can get them to subscribe to your mailing list. So this is really a piece to not be overlooked. Search engines love it. People love it. It's going to do wonders for your business. We've been blogging for 2 years, pretty much weekly on the Realty Ninja blog, and I can't, tell you how important it's been to our business. Now looking back on it, it's like, oh my God, I wish we had started this 5 years ago, the weekly blogging, because the amount of traffic we're getting to our site is massive. The amount of business coming through, through our blog is massive. So it really makes a difference. So really try not to overlook this piece. One little tip I'll leave you with is the HUN technique. I put that together, the HUNN, but this is truly, psychologically speaking, these are the 4 things that people find really, people pay attention to, rather. Things that are helpful, things that are unique, things that are novel, or things that are new. And so, and I see agents going and copy pasting the market report, from the real estate board and posting it on their blog and then sharing it. It's like, yeah, it's helpful, but that content can be found all over the place. It's not, unique, it's not new, it's not novel. And if people want, listed market reports, you're probably not the place they're going to go to for it. For a lot of agents, that's the way that they just kind of keep their blog active, but it's really not helping them. And so creating a piece of content that your audience will actually find helpful, that is new, that is your spin, even putting your own spin on market research and market reports, rather, can bring, all new life into that. So even like there's a guy, Jason Sadu, he does a video of himself basically breaking down the market reports in Richmond, I think, in the Lower Mainland, and he just kind of gives his own spin on it. It's a quick, video. I don't have to sit there and read a bunch of technical stuff. I just sit there and listen to what he's saying about it. So that's presenting kind of boring and, not new content in a helpful and unique kind of way. So that's a great way to take that content and repurpose it. But generally speaking, these are the 4 things to kind of focus on when producing content for your site. The next thing is the on-site. For on-site, the next thing is unique descriptions on listings and MLS pages. So your listing pages, or like an MLS search page, for instance, that's something that exists all over the internet. Whether it's on other realtors' sites or big like real estate brokerage sites like Remax or Realtor.ca or whatever, that feed of data exists already. And so you're not getting rewarded for that via search engines by having that on your website. So in order to get rewarded, you need to make these pages more unique. You need to kind of tweak them a little bit. So I see, like tons and tons of our clients' websites that have tons and tons of different searches, niche searches that are great, but at the top of them, they don't have any description. There's no way of, nothing even tells me how to use that search page. It's just like, here's the search page, figure it out. The really, the right way to do this is to include a little blurb of information at the top relevant to the data that's on that page, relevant to the kinds of listings or, the type of search on that page. This small little kind of tactic will basically, and I'm going to show you an example, will basically differentiate your search from all the other searches out there. So here's an example of a search for um, Coal Harbor property, any kind of property in Coal Harbor. This kind of search exists all over the internet, for Vancouver anyways. Like this is not unique. This is on Craig Veroni's old site. Craig wasn't doing anything groundbreaking here by offering this. What he did do that was different, that's going to benefit him, is include this photo and this write-up at the top here. Just a little, couple sentence paragraph and a little photo. And that photo looks better on the actual website. It's just kind of like fuzzy and pixely because it's on these slides. But like a nice HD photo as well as a nice little write-up. It's going to differentiate this page from all the other Coal Harbor searches out there. It's going to make this unique, and when search engines get here, they're going to go, oh, this is different. So we are going to actually reward Craig now for this as an extra page on his site. So if your site is made up of like 100 search pages and none of them have any of this kind of differentiating content, well, those 100 pages basically don't even exist. So that's a huge opportunity. If you have a lot of searches on your site, go in there, add a little blurb of text, add a little photo. And I'm not even saying this is the best example. Go embed video, make this like a long, like a community page. And then within that community page, include the MLS search or include the listing search. So that's kind of the way to approach this to get rewarded by search engines. And to tell you the truth, people like it better as well. If you pictured this page with no photo and no text at the top, it's just a search page. It's utilitarian, but it doesn't provide any story. It doesn't provide any viewing pleasure with a photo. So people really like this. It's going to make the page stickier. It's going to keep people around longer, and search engines are going to reward you for it. So next one for on-site is proper keyword and alt tag usage. So alt tags are called alternate text. I'll get into that in a second. When it comes to keywords, there was a time where keywords used to mean basically there's like, in the code of your website, there was meta keywords, and there would be 5 to 20 keywords that you would put in there, and those basically told search engines what your website was about. That's no longer the case. Keywords, search engine algorithms have evolved so much over the years that nowadays keywords can be found everywhere, all through your website, whether it's on your blog, on the actual pages of your site, or in the code, or what have you. So those meta keywords still exist in the code, but they're not given as much sway as they used to. Now search engines just read your whole site. So for that reason, you want to make sure that, going back to saying, that initial 2 rules of not being generic and asking yourself who this website is for. Once you figure out who your website's for, and you figure out kind of what these people are looking for, what they're searching for, then you want to start using those keywords in your copy all through your website. Not just on the homepage. You want to have community pages dedicated to it. Your blog should somehow kind of tie in those keywords. If you're catering to first-time home buyers, you want to have a blog that has a bunch of articles about first-time home buyers. You want your homepage to speak to first-time home buyers in your community, so when they get there, they know what the site's about, but also so that search engines know what the site's about. If you're just using the default text that came with your website that says something like, whether you're buying or selling, I am the person for you, like that doesn't really tell search engines what you do. It doesn't tell them where you do it. It doesn't tell them anything really. Except for that this is duplicate content that can exist on a number of default RealtyNinja websites. So you want to go and make sure you're modifying any default text that exists on your website. You want to use keywords that relate to your audience throughout your website and all of your writing. And you want to make sure you're not trying to trick search engines, because stuffing your keywords, or going to the bottom of the page. This is a trick that people used to do back in the day. Yeah, sure, Mark. Sorry about that. We record all of these, so you can actually check our YouTube as well for pre-recorded versions of the webinar. Is anybody else having audio trouble before I continue? Keith, you too? Okay, hang on one sec. phone. Is that better? Can you guys hear me better now? Testing, testing. Hello? No? You can't hear me better now? I just switched to my internal microphone. How about now? Whoa, strange. Yeah? Okay. I'm just turning it up. I'm gonna hope for the best, and I'm gonna hope for the best here. And if it's not working out, you guys can feel free to take off, and I'll send a link to the YouTube to all of you guys who were here today. It might be the connection. In any case, I'm just going to continue, guys, and hopefully it's not super bad, but I will send you guys all a link to the YouTube afterwards so that you can watch a recording as well, or skip through the areas that weren't doing well. But anyways, I'm just going to continue on here. Thanks for letting me know. So yeah, what I was saying is back in the day, what people used to do is change the font color to the color of the background of their website, and then they would add they would just stuff a bunch of keywords to like the bottom of the page. And so, you know, it would just be, if you were to highlight their website at the bottom, it would say best realtor in Vancouver, real estate agent, real estate broker, blah, blah, blah. I don't have all these kind of stuff. So you want to make sure not to do that, because search engines have become much wiser over the years, and they will not only will they not reward you, but they'll actually penalize you, and they'll it's called black hat marketing, black hat search engine optimization tactics. And so they will penalize you for that, and they will leave like a mark on your website so that you can't improve as quickly until you kind of fix your behavior, so to speak. So you don't want that to happen for you. You want to make sure you're just writing for the people. You know, write for your audience so that when your audience arrives, they understand what's happening on your website, and search engines will pick up on that and reward you for that kind of writing. Alt tags, what I was saying about alt tags is they're basically keywords, but they're for your photos. So alt tag is alternate text. So if you were to go to a photo on your RealtyNinja website and click the little gear icon that appears in the top right of the photo when you're in edit mode, then these image options pop up. And so you get this alternate text section where you can enter text about what this photo is, describing the photo. So this, you know, search engines are pretty smart, and they have become kind of creepy in the sense that they can identify images based on the shape. So if you got a picture of an apple, a search engine will know that this is an apple, or, you know, it'll think at least it's a fruit. If you've got this photo here of Katie Burkhardt, a search engine might think that this is a woman or a man with long hair, but it'll know that it's a person because of the shape, because of the face and the eyes, and etc. But it won't know that it's Katie Burkhardt. It won't know what her profession is, and it won't know where she does that profession. So this is all going to come down to the alternate text. This is a micro optimization for sure. It's not, you know, some massive trick or tactic. It's not going to be the thing that makes you go to #1 on Google, but it definitely plays a role, especially if you have a lot of images on your website. And also consider your images could show up in Google Images, because a lot of people are often doing Google image search. So you want to make sure your images are tagged correctly using alt tags so that they appear in the image search when people are searching for, you know, if they're searching for Vancouver Realtor in image search for some reason, you want your picture to show up, or you want your listings to show up, or what have you. And so please make sure you're updating your alt text. All these little micro optimizations come together to make a big difference. Next, on-site optimization. It's the second to last one. It's about us and testimonials. This is a one that I feel like a lot of realtors kind of forget about, or they leave it to the end, because I see a lot of sites that are like, you know, you go to the testimonials or the about us page, and it's like, this section is coming soon. To me, this about us and testimonial section should be the first part of your site that you just get polished and perfect. Going back to, you know, that list of things that a truly ninja real estate website should do, the one that I like to highlight is the trust, creating trust. You can't create trust with people if you don't talk about yourself in a way, or at least, you know, in the third person, have somebody else write about you or whatever. Share your accolades, share your testimonials, show a photo about yourself, show a video. You know, a video would be even better. So, you know, without seeing these things, I don't really get a feeling of who you are. And I don't really want to trust you to buy a home with, you know, or help me buy a home, or to sell my home if I'm not getting that vibe. There's plenty of other realtors out there that have this information on their site, and if this was the make or break thing between getting a commission or not getting a commission, I'd say if you knew that that was going to be the case, you'd go and update this page right away. So let's say it is the case, it is going to cost you a commission if people come to your site, find what they're looking for, but can't get to know you. It might cost you some money. So if that's the case, take half an hour or an hour or 5 hours even, and create a video or create a perfect bio section on your website, include testimonials on it. In my opinion, a video that includes a little bit about you, a little bit about how you do your business, and then testimonials, actually bringing in your customers and them being in the same video and giving some testimonials about your business. That's kind of the best way to do it, in my opinion. I think I'm typing a little website here for you guys. I think it's katemiller.ca. She's got an awesome video like this, so check that video out after the webinar. Kate Miller's a North Vancouver realtor, and her video is like pretty much spot on. It shows what she does. It shows her team. It's got some great B-roll of her with customers. It's got great customer testimonials in there. After watching that, you're like, okay, I have no doubts that Kate could, handle my real estate needs for sure. So please don't overlook this. This is just an example I wanted to show you of Janelle's page. By no means is this the best example of a about page. There's so much more that can be done, especially with the new Katana sites that we've got. So please, take a good hard look at this section of your website, and if it's not got at least a photo of you and a few paragraphs of information about you, and maybe some awards or information about things you've studied or just things you've accomplished in life. Please go add those, because it's really going to be important at the end of the day. And the final one is call to actions. So in the beginning, we talked about asking yourself, who do I want to come to my website? And then what do I want them to do when they get here? And so call to actions very much address the what do I want them to do when they get here bit. With call to actions on your site, you get to guide people around in the direction that you want them to go. If you're a first-time home buyer's agent, then your main call to action should be something for first-time home buyers, so that when they get there, that's their immediate next step. Whether it's to read a blog, article that you wrote about the 10 things to do if you're a first-time home buyer, or whether it's to call you to talk, to get suggestions or whatever it is, that should be the call to action in the front and center of the site. The reason the call to actions are important is because, again, we live in this attention economy. People don't want to come to your website and browse through every single page of it using your navigation. That's exhausting. They want the information that they want, the resources, the value that they need. They want it given to them up front. So you need to think about, what these resources are, what this content is, what you want these people to do, and how you're providing them value, and put that up front and center. In a lot of ways, like this is an example that is interesting to me. I mean, in a lot of ways, your call to actions will define kind of who you are. When people get there, they kind of brand you. And so when you get to Thomas's website, the first thing the main call to action is to receive the free monthly market report. So you're going, okay, Thomas, he knows he's an expert on the market. But what areas of the market? Oh, downtown Vancouver, Cole Harbour, Yaletown, and the West End. So he's broken his call to actions out into 5. I don't personally love this. It's an interesting tactic because he wants you to kind of do searches in these specific sub-communities of Vancouver. But this could be done in 2 call to actions even. Receive your monthly market report here, and then over here, do a downtown Vancouver MLS search that included all of these locations. So that would tell you that he's an expert. He knows about the numbers. He knows kind of, he provides the market report. And then also he's, for these areas, he's the guy to talk to for these areas. So it really paints a picture of what you do. It helps paint a picture of what you do without actually writing a big blurb about what areas you serve and whatnot. So keep that in mind as well. By no means is this a great example. I would recommend that Thomas has like 1 to 3 call to actions on his website instead of 5. But it's still, 5 is better than going through all the buttons on the top of this site and kind of reading all those informations. This is what he wants you to do. He wants you to find his he wants you to find your listing, the listing of your dreams on his website. So the main thing for him is search. So really consider what the main thing is and update your call to actions, or if you don't have any real focused call to actions, please go add some. Really important to keep people moving through your marketing funnel. And okay, moving on, that was that for on-site. Now we're going to talk about off-site, which is a few things that you can do off of your website to attract more traffic. Before we get into that, I just kind of like to preface with this slide about everything that you do on Google is, or sorry, everything that you do online, on your website, on social media, it tells Google a story about you. So the algorithms, like I've mentioned a few times now, the algorithms on search engines have, you know, evolved so much over the years that they're now picking up things from all over the internet. Comments that you leave, you know, on other people's Facebook, public Facebook posts, things that you post on your own Facebook, things that you post on Instagram, your YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube, Google owns YouTube, so like that's directly integrated with them. So you've got videos on YouTube, they're learning about you through that. Your domain name, your website, they're learning about you through that. When you connect your website to Google Plus, that helps the whole process. So it's not just like what I'm doing on my website, it's actually every interaction that you take online, really, through your brand. That helps paint this picture about you and helps get you to page 1 of Google. And so, you know, if you think, I love this quote, it's so true, that you want to hide a dead body, put it on the second page of Google results, because nobody really goes there. When was the last time you dug through to page 2, 3, 4 to find what you wanted? Search engines have become so good that they usually can give you exactly everything you need on page 1. You want to land on page 1. And you want to do so by telling the search engine the story about your business. It's going to be really hard to do so if your story is just, I'm the #1 realtor in British Columbia. It's a really big market. It's, you know, going to be really hard to convince all the people of British Columbia that you're the #1 realtor just because you're saying so on some Facebook posts and on your website homepage. It's a bigger story, and you really want to focus again on your niche, who your customers are, and how you can kind of tailor the entire message online to those people. That's how you're going to start ranking. You want to be the big fish in the small pond. You know, when it comes to first-time home buyers, you got to show up at the top. Or when it comes to pre-builds, you got to show up at the top. Or if it's condos, you know, in your area, you want to show at the top. You got to kind of pick that niche, and your whole online story needs to be focused on that. And so that's not an actual, you know, off-site tactic. It's just kind of something to an overall umbrella strategy to keep in mind. Now getting into the specifics. So one of the most important SEO factors to drive traffic to your site is backlinking. Now backlinking refers to getting links to your site from other sites on the internet. You already have a bunch of backlinks linking to your website if you've been in business, if you've had a website for a little while. So, you know, for instance, if you're like a, you know, Remax realtor, you might have a Remax website as well, or a Remax directory. You know, your brokerage has a directory with your bio on it. You want to make sure that directory bio, as well as any bio you have online, whether it's on Yelp or Yellow Pages, a Facebook page, you know, Rank My Agent, wherever you have an online presence or online bio, or you're a member of a directory, or some networking site or whatever, make sure your website is posted, because that is going to start kind of boosting, telling Google that story about you and kind of boosting your credibility online. And so the way search engines look is like, they'll look at remax.ca and go, okay, Remax is a super reputable website. It's been around for 20 years. You know, they get 1 million hits a month, and they're linking to Lee Mowry's website. And so that, you know, that search engines love that. That builds credibility. You know, that backlink is coming from a credible source. So backlinks from you know, your partner websites and stuff, like if you work with a local plumber or whatever, that's great. But getting your backlinks from bigger websites is even better. And so that leads me to my little bonus point. A lot of you know, these bigger sites they have blogs. So one that I'll use as an example is Real Estate Weekly, or RU for short. I approached those guys with a blog article that I wrote about domains, website domains. That blog article had a couple of links in it to RealtyNinja.com. One of the links was in the body of the blog article, somewhere where it said real estate website. I highlighted those words and linked that to Realty Ninja's website. At the bottom, also, I had a little bio about me, and in that bio, there was a direct link to RealtyNinja.com. So I sent that off to the editor of Real Estate Weekly, and I was like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I work for Realty Ninja. I wrote this for your audience, and I was wondering if you would be interested in publishing it. You know, it's not published anywhere else. So they loved the article. They totally published it, and they asked me to write 5 more. That kind of backlink coming from a website like Real Estate Weekly that has, you know, I'm going to guess 50,000 plus hits a month, if not, you know, hundreds of thousands, and tons of buying power, you know, tons of credibility in the industry, in the local industry in BC anyways. Those guys are now hosting an article written by me, which makes me look like an expert, but also gives RealtyNinja.com 2 awesome backlinks. So search engines see this and they love it, and they go, oh wow, Real Estate Weekly is linking to Realty Ninja. Realty Ninja must be super reputable. And then people love it too, because then realtors read it and go, oh, who is this Seppi guy? What, you know, where is he from? Oh, he's from Realty Ninja. Great article. Let's go check them out. So it's like a win-win kind of scenario. It's actually a win-win-win, because Real Estate Weekly also gets free content, and it's free, awesome content that's written just exclusively for them. So use this trick, use this tactic, write a couple of guest articles for a couple of big blogs in your community. They don't have to be, you know, million readers. They just have to, they have to speak to the same niche that you're going after. So, you know, it could be just the local community blog. It could be, you know, some kind of forum, or whatever that site is in your community, in your area. You probably have heard about it. You probably have seen a couple articles on their blog, and you could probably go and contribute something community related to that blog. So this, you know, including your website in that guest article is an awesome way to receive backlinks by providing value to another company, and a great way to build a relationship with another company and do, you know, other marketing stuff with them in the future. Another offsite is obviously social media, publishing, and engagement. So you guys can read this slide. You know, the one thing that I like to talk about on this slide is how over the years, you know, social media has evolved so much. The tools have changed, and the, you know, which software to, or sorry, which service to use is always in question. Like, which one's better, Instagram or Snapchat, or, you know, Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or whatever. That's all good. You know, that's all always fluctuating. The one thing that's never changing is the fact that social media is broken into kind of 2 categories, and it always has been: publishing and engagement. Now, if you're a realtor who is only focused on publishing, you want to take a step back and break up your time on social media, half on publishing and half on engagement. Publishing is the act of you going and posting something like your listing on your Facebook page. That's you publishing something, you publishing a post. Engagement is when people come and engage with your post. Engagement is also when you go out there and engage with other people's posts. When you like your friend's, you know, picture, or when you're on, like, commenting on a business, like a local business, like a local coffee shop, let's say, for example, they post something and you go and comment on it on Facebook or on Instagram, let's say. That's the engagement piece. That's a really, really, really massive piece that people overlook often. They just think, I need to just be the publishing person. I need to post all of my stuff online, whatever I have, every link on my website, every blog post, every video, you know, every listing, it just needs to be published. And that's great. You do need to do that. You do need to publish, you know, your content, and you need to publish it more than once on multiple channels. But if you're not engaging, if you're not out there actively part of the conversation in your community, becoming this digital mayor by contributing, then people aren't going to come and engage with your posts either. You might get a few people here and there for sure, but it's never going to grow. It's never going to scale if you're not actually a part of that community. Facebook is a community. There is also, you know, sub-communities within Facebook, within Instagram. There are local communities. There are hashtags, you know. If you're active in the hashtag Vancouver hashtag, then you want to get in there. If you're active with publishing to the Vancouver hashtag, you want to get in there and get active with engaging with it as well. There's lots of people that are constantly posting to it. You can get to know some of these people. You can actually build relationships with these people by engaging with their content. And by engaging with their content, they're now twice as likely to come back and engage with your content next time. thus increasing your overall engagement. Everybody's happier. Everybody's winning this way. So, I'll leave you with an analogy. Think about going to a cocktail party and you run into the guy who's just talking about himself. I'm this and I'm this and I just traveled here and I just got, my job is this, I make this much money. Oh my God, wait till you see my dog. He's so this. My wife is so this. Oh my God, you're so boring. Like, I don't want to talk to that person because it's just exhausted. They're not listening. All they're doing is talking. And when you talk, they just kind of brush it off. They nod and then they keep talking about themselves or how what you just said relates to their life. They're not actually engaging anybody. The person that shows up at the cocktail party that asks some questions, actually listens to what you're saying, responds to what you're saying, includes some anecdotes from their personal life, that is a successful person at a cocktail party. The other person, people are generally going to stay away from them. So don't be that first person, on social media. Be the second person that actually cares what people are saying, that actually listens, comments on posts. And when you're out there commenting on those posts, do it from your business page, from your business Facebook, your business Instagram, whatever your brand is, not just from your personal, so that people get to know your brand name. When you're commenting on the local cafe, posts, all the people that are commenting on that are also locals. They're going to get to know your name if they keep seeing your comments. So keep that in mind. Engagement's super big. Actually spending half your time going and liking, commenting posts, sharing things, and actually starting dialogue with the people in your community. This is what's going to make you a huge star and a digital mayor on social media. And the last offsite optimization, we've got 1 minute left. Basically, paid traffic versus organic traffic. So paid traffic is when you pay for something like a Facebook post, a Facebook ad. You create a Facebook ad, you put money behind it, and you're saying, okay, now that I've put money here, it's going to send traffic to my site. Organic traffic is you've created content, or created resources or posted things on social media, and people are organically coming to you by finding you, by discovering you on social media, on search engines and whatnot. So those are the two different things. Where I think a lot of agents make a mistake is they think that instead of putting the effort into the organic side of things, instead of creating content and creating awesome resources, they can replicate that by spending money. That is a huge, mistake. If you're thinking that, then just take that thought out of your head right away. The way that this works with the ads is people need to find it interesting. If they find it interesting, if it's worth clicking on, they're going to click on it. It's not like a bus bench ad where people are just driving by it and there's no call to action required because it's out there in the physical world. If someone notes your phone number, great. But generally, you're not expecting much call to action from a bus ad. It's more for branding and for aligning you with the community. Paid ads on social media, on Google, their goal is different. Their goal is clicks. You want to get clicks, and you want people to click your ad and then get to your website and then take an action. You don't want it to just be floating around, showing people your face on social media. Again, we live in an attention economy. People are getting flooded with tons of content. Why are they going to pay attention to, just a picture of your face that says award-winning realtor and then your name? You're not providing any value, to them. You're not showing them anything that they want to see or anything that they're interested in. So keep this in mind. Throwing money at something is not going to make it successful online. First, find that successful thing online, then throw money behind it. For instance, you take some awesome listing photos and get an aerial, drone footage, and you post it on social media, and people love the aerial drone footage because it shows the community in a way that they've never seen, and it's just a great video, of the house, let's say. That video starts getting shared and people start commenting on it and tagging their friends in the comments, and it just starts organically getting buzz. You haven't paid anything for advertising it. You just got it created and you shared it on social media. People are already talking about it. So that post is now a great candidate to put a boost behind. Go throw $50 behind that with paid advertisement and show it to more people, because people already love it without, you putting it in front of people with paid ads. When you put it in front of a new group of people with paid ads, that's going to attract new business your way. So another example would be a blog post, for instance. If you're posting like a blog post on your Facebook page and it doesn't do very well organically, if you're boosting that post, it might also not do well and it might waste your money. But if you post a post on your Facebook page and people love it, there's dialogue going, it's controversial, people are arguing with each other, and people are going to the post and reading it, spending 20 minutes on that post and whatnot, that's a great candidate to put some paid traffic behind. Same goes for contests. Like if a contest's doing well, put a little boost behind it. This is all stuff that's going to get people attracted, finding your business and attracting them to your business, whether it's to your social media, or if you're using Google AdWords, it would be directly to your website or a landing page of your website. But my point that I want to make is, don't just put a bus bench ad out on social media. Nobody clicks bus bench ads. It's for branding. Online ads, they're focused on clicks. Think about click number 1, click number 2, click number 3 until you've gotten them to take an action. Make it as easy as possible, and make it as valuable to them as possible, and then you won't waste your advertising dollars. And so, sorry I talk a lot, I tend to get carried away, but the last thing I want to say is that the most important thing here of all of this stuff is to stay consistent, to weave all of this into the actual biology of your brand. It can't just be an afterthought. You can't do it for 2 weeks and then, I'm not seeing results, forget about it. If that's the case, then that's fine. Just stick to what you're doing now and don't even bother with all this stuff. But if you really do want to see results from it, you got to stick it out for a year, 2 years, for the duration of your business. This is just going to be, the next kind of, it's got to be part of your brand, and that's the only way that you're going to kind of outlast your competition. Because I see, people leaving this webinar, people downloading our ebook, people watching our videos and stuff, and then going and trying something out, and it doesn't really work out the first time, the second time, they're not seeing results after a month, and then they lose hope, they lose excitement, and they just go back to the old way of doing things. I can tell you, just from seeing it firsthand from people who have stayed consistent for months, it takes a few months. You got to do it for at least 6 months before you start seeing results. Some people see results in the first month by fluke. Some people see results in 3 months, but really consistency here is the key. So yeah, I just want to leave that with you before we kind of sign off and get into the questions. If you guys, are interested, you can follow up on our blog to constantly read new stuff. We're going to be publishing a lot of Katana related articles in the next couple of months, showing you how to get the most out of your new Katana site. So if you're not on Katana, make sure you're talking to us about migrating your site over to Katana. But the dojo also contains tons of great articles over the years, from social media marketing to ads to content writing and all kinds of great stuff in between. We've also got an awesome ebook. Part 3 is coming soon, but part 1 and 2 are out. And here's a couple of examples of the chapters located in part 2. Part 1 was called The Modern Mindset, and then part 2 is Modern Websites, SEO, and Blogging. And part 3 that's coming soon will be Modern Tools and Technology. And so we've got great feedback on these ebooks. Lots of realtors love them. It's helping them feel confident. And so please download, print, go through them. There's some working sections in there that kind of give you homework. So our goal is really to provide these kinds of resources to make sure you guys are successful, whether it's through the webinar, the ebook, our blog. Our number one goal is to make you guys happy and successful and loving your website and getting the most out of it. So if there's ever anything that we can do, don't hesitate to let us know. And with that, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to field. I haven't seen any questions really pop in so far. So, hey, Ray, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed. I appreciate you guys all for being here. And I'm sorry if it all cut out. What I'm going to do, I did get a recording of this, so I will upload it to our YouTube channel. But I basically do this exact webinar every 2 weeks. So there's a bunch of pre-recorded versions of this on there. So, and you might even find some with less ums and hums and haws. But yeah, feel free to let me know your questions, and if not, if there's no questions, you guys can take off. What is your opinion on live chat widgets? Are most realtors receiving positive results? From what I've heard from realtors using the live chat widgets, they all love them. There's a bunch of great ones. I think it just, because you have a smartphone these days and you're always able to chat with people via like text. It's almost like texting. So it gives realtors an ability to kind of chat directly with people who are on their website using their smartphone. So whether you're, just out to lunch or sitting in the office or whatever, if somebody's on your site and popping up to say hello, asking a question, in real time, you can communicate with them. So what I've heard has been only positive results. more and more agents have been embedding them on their Realty Ninja websites. It's becoming kind of more and more standard. And so I would investigate, which one's right for you. There's a bunch of different ones. Like I know that a customer just signed up for Talk. Excuse me. We use at Realty Ninja, we use Olark, but there's a bunch of great ones. I know that some of them have like automated responses as well. So if you're not there, it'll just kind of respond automatically and get them to leave a message or something, so you can get back to them later via email or phone call and whatnot. But I recommend them. We use them. We love it. It's really good for the business. Keith, hey Seppi, can you auto load contact info from forms on the site to my CRM follow-up boss? So we actually did 2 days ago, I think it was. We did a survey asking all of our clients what the top CRMs are, what the CRMs that they use are. And the goal for that is because our development roadmap now post Katana, or AK after Katana, we're calling it, this CRM integration is a big one. So I would look out for that. You can't do it automatically yet, but there's going to be, first you're going to get a BCC field, so you can BCC your CRM. And then we're going to actually work with integrating, like the biggest one was top producer, so that one's going to come first, and then we'll go in order. So follow-up boss will get the integration. I can't give you an exact time frame, but that's definitely one of the features that's coming, and that was actually talked about just like today and yesterday. So definitely in the pipeline for very soon this year, Keith. Lee, thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Happy Friday to all of you. Any other questions, my friends? Kind of went a little bit over with the presentation, over 11:45, so I don't want to keep you too long. If you guys have any other questions, you can feel free to email me directly, seppi@realtyninja.com, or you guys can always just contact support@realtyninja.com. Our support team is always happy to handle any changes. If you guys have any, if you want to add a page to your website, you want to add content, text, photos, videos, whatever you need to do on your site, we're happy to take care of the changes for you. And if you guys are not on Katana yet, please make sure you reach out to us asking about the migration. We'll help you do that. It doesn't cost anything more. And the migration tool, we've got a migration tool that allows you to actually really easily migrate all the content pages from your current website over to Katana. So I'm not sure if anybody fits that description, but that's a possibility. I'm not getting any other questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and end this event. After I end it, you guys are going to see a bunch of links and the ability to download this slide. So thank you again so much for being here. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day.